Hey guys, welcome to Diana Chats, where I talk about mental health and things going on in my life that may or may not be of interest to you or anyone. I've had kind of like a fun last 5 days. Yeah. Where my partner and I drove down Illinois. We had some fun car trouble. We ended up staying the night in Springfield, Illinois. And then we went to a wedding in St. Louis. And then we went to go visit my parents who live in Southern Illinois. And so it was a fun tour of the state. If you don't know, Illinois is quite a long state. I'm from the very bottom of it, so I know this. Most people who live in Illinois do not know how long the state is, because most people who live in Illinois live in Chicago, and that is the only thing that tends to matter in Illinois in terms of our the state-based politics, in terms of the wealth of the state and the budget and things like that. Because aside from Chicago, Illinois is a pretty poor state. It's a pretty low income state. There are a number of like university towns. There is like farming in the state. It's an agricultural state aside from Chicagoland area, and there was a history in Southern Illinois of coal mining and that kind of a thing, but it's not really what it used to be, and that makes sense for the direction that we've been going in terms of our energy resources. But anyway, it was quite an adventure. I really like driving places. I really like road trips. In the last few years, I've started getting car sick, so I'm less about it than I used to be. But I'm not, like, I don't get car sick when we're on like the freeway or the highway or whatever. I typically get car sick like in the city when it's during like rush hour or something, and there's lots of like stopping and starting. So I think that like I didn't have my first incident of car sickness until Ubers became popular and I started taking Uber places, because even when I take public transportation around the city, it doesn't happen for me then very much. So as long as I don't try to like read a book or something like that, if I'm like not trying to stare at one place and read something, there's something about doing that makes car sickness worse, I think. But as long as I'm not doing that, I'm usually fine. The times that I get it is just generally when, like I said, there's a lot of stopping and starting. Words today. So I wanted to make a video just because I haven't in, I guess, a week or so, because I was out of town. I'm trying to like figure out what I want to talk about today. Also, my brain is not operating at full capacity today. I'm not sure why exactly. It could be a combination of things. I did eat gluten yesterday, so that could be one part. I think I'm dealing with some level of brain fog today. That's probably the majority of it. It is not just the gluten, but is related to the food that I ate yesterday, because I did binge yesterday. And I can talk about that. I decided not to take Vyvanse for 2 days. So I was off work through Monday and Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. So I decided not to take Vyvanse on Monday and Tuesday. And this was probably a mistake. I should be taking it every day at this point. It is what is keeping me from binging, I think. And it was probably a mistake, but I ran out of so what I've decided to do with my psychiatrist, because when I was taking Ritalin, I developed a tolerance to the medication. So I stopped taking it on the weekend. So I was only taking it during the work week. But Vyvanse is a little bit different. Like, some people who develop a tolerance to Ritalin don't develop a tolerance to Vyvanse, and vice versa. So the plan that we came up with a Vyvanse, and as I'm learning more about amphetamine prescriptions and like dosage, I'm not sure if this actually makes sense. My psychiatrist had never heard of Vyvanse before I told him about it, and I definitely wasn't like pushy. Like, I wasn't like, oh, you know, there's this medication that exists to treat ADHD, and it's also been proven to treat binge eating disorder as well. So I need to take this medication. I wasn't like that at all. I just mentioned that I had heard about Vyvanse. I had heard about it originally through my therapist, I think. And my psychiatrist was like, well, I haven't even heard of that. I'm guessing that the reason why there have been studies that show that this helps with BED is because they've paid for those studies, and that there's a chance that Ritalin or Adderall or these other medications might be proven to like help treat BED too, but those research studies haven't been done because these big pharmaceutical companies will pay specifically. It's kind of like, what's that called, where the research is kind of muddled by the fact that it's being done in the pursuit of the outcome, rather than it's just being done to observe the outcomes. Anyway, I'm forgetting what that's called, but it's, you know, there's a fallacy there in that the company is basically paying to have these results show what they want them to show. So it's not, even if it's done in a gold standard way, it's like set up specifically to be more likely to demonstrate the desired outcomes. So it's still kind of problematic. And there's like a bias there. Anyway, so that's probably my guess in also in how these conclusions have been reached that show that Vyvanse actually work to treat BED, especially because it's not like the Vyvanse is doing something very different from what the Ritalin was doing. It feels like a really similar outcome, especially in terms of my ADHD. I would say that because it is long acting, or what's it called? Because it's like a slow release, like you only take one capsule in the morning and that lasts you throughout the entire day. I would say that makes it so that you have to adjust your expectations for how the pill is going to work. Because with Ritalin, when I was taking the slow acting or the fast acting version and taking 2 pills a day, you would take the Ritalin and have a pretty immediate, like within, I would say like 15 minutes, I would feel the effects of the Ritalin. And then I would feel also when it was wearing down about 4 to 5 hours after taking it. Vyvanse is different. And what's been interesting to me with the Vyvanse is that it seems like I have a very different reaction to it, like throughout the week. Like, I don't even know why at all, why I'm having the reactions I am to the Vyvanse. And that's something that maybe I want to like calendar or something, because it doesn't really make sense to me. There are some days when I'll take, so I've taken 3 different dosage amounts on the Vyvanse. Because the initial dose that I was prescribed was way too high. I don't know why he prescribed me that. It's like the most that you can take. So it was 70 milligrams. I started taking that. I felt like I was experiencing mania. I felt like I was like on speed. It was too much. It wasn't, it was clearly too much, because it was kind of resulting in the opposite of how you want the medication to work. You want the medication to help you focus. This medication was making my thoughts race so fast that I couldn't focus on any of them. So like everything was just like extremely busy. And so I switched from the 70 to the 30, and then the 30 didn't seem to be enough. It didn't seem to work basically at all. Like, it was almost as if like I wasn't taking anything. And then I moved up to taking 50, and the 50 seems okay, but it seems like some days it doesn't kick in. Like sometimes it feels like it's too high of a dose, and the reason why is because it takes time to kick in. So I've noticed that sometimes it will take like an hour and a half to 2 hours to kick in, and that is too long. And that's usually the indication that you're taking too high of a dose. So there could be something that I misunderstood about how the medication was supposed to be working when I started taking the Vyvanse, because when you're taking something that's slow acting, you're not going to get that immediate thing that I got with the fast acting Ritalin. You're not going to get the immediate effect of it hitting you right then and you're right off the ground ready to go. It takes like a little bit longer, like 30 minutes to 45 minutes to fully kick in, because it's a slower release. So you take a capsule and then it like releases. So because of that, I'm still very confused about the dose amount that I'm supposed to be taking, and I don't like the idea of taking too much. And I also feel, I don't know how to describe it. There's something really off-putting about taking amphetamine medication every single day. It's basically like, and some people might really like it. Like, I don't want to speak for everyone, but for me, it's basically like I don't get a day off. Like, I have these 2 days off of work, but I'm still taking this medication that allows me to be like on my quote unquote best behavior. So I'm taking this medication that lets me choose whether or not to eat the bad food, and lets me choose whether or not to go to the gym, and lets me choose whether or not to structure my day in the most efficient way possible. And if I choose not to do that, then that's like an active choice that I'm making. And I still have it logged in my head that like I could have done it the other way. Well, the thing is, when I don't take the Vyvanse at all, it's like it's not even a choice or something. Like my brain is telling me like I have to recover from something. I don't know. It's like, it's this thing where mentally my body is like, okay, now it's time for you to recover. You've been going, and now you have to stop. And when I take the Vyvanse, it's like that never happens. I never experience like the like now you have to stop. And I kind of hate it because it's like, I don't know, I just hate it. Like, because I want to stop. Like, I've been so used to for so long. I think that's what I was talking about in my previous video about how do I soothe myself without food. Like, I need to figure out how to healthfully restore my mind and my body, because it needs that break. Like, I really do think that it needs that break. When I don't stop and get the break, it honestly feels like I'm like on borrowed time or something. Like, it's not my time to be messing around with. Like, I'm not built that way. Like, I have to stop. I'm a person who needs frequent and consistent breaks from things. Like, I have mental overload happen a lot. It just happens. Like, my brain fills up and it's too much. And taking the Vyvanse, it's just like this strange combination where I'm able to keep going, but mentally, like, I do need that for my emotional well-being and my health. I do need that break. And so when I stop taking it, my body immediately signals it's time to take the break. You're doing it now. And I think that's why I binged yesterday. But I don't know how to figure out, how do I not binge? How do I not binge if I don't take the Vyvanse? Because I think I have to keep on taking it. Maybe there's an even lower dose than the 30 that I can take. It is good not binging. The thing is, like, my binging is going to lead me to an early grave. And that's something, like, that's scary. I want to live a long life. I know I'm already going to be having kids late in the game. I'm already 30. So by the time I have kids, like, I want to be able to follow after them and do everything that, as a mom, I want to be able to do for my kids physically. And so it just scares me. Like, I have to figure out this binging thing. But I also have to figure out how to give myself mental health breaks. And eventually I'll want to stop taking the Vyvanse. So it sucked yesterday to do that. It did give me, like, this feeling of restoration that I've been seeking, however. Like, I feel very calm today. I feel like fairly low stress. I feel like, you know, whatever happens, happens. Like, I feel like the things that I like about myself, I'm experiencing today. And it's just like, how the heck do I do this without binging? I need to figure out like my me place without food. Anyway, that's all I'm going to chat about today. I hope that you guys are having a great week. And I hope that everything is well in your world.